First, I want to congratulate the organization because after the good presentation we had on AI, I will try to show you how we try to implement these concepts and technologies into a real system. Beside of that, I am now leading a team, or leading is maybe a big word. I'm trying to inspire a bit some young PhD students, some engineers, and we have built a combined research team from this very interesting university we call ENSC, Engineering School for Cognitive Sciences, from Bordeaux. You remember Bordeaux is the place where the guy from Mr. Ross, I guess, said it was dangerous to go. In the corner. The last time we had some terrorist incident, it was more than 20 years ago. And believe me, go to Bordeaux, you can go any time of the day, the night, in every quarter of the city. It's far better than Paris, Lyon, Marseille, or everywhere. Then I don't know why if... Yes, I'm quite sure. Okay, then, and we have done a combined team with this very interesting school, because the school trained the engineers with two brains. The first brain is, of course, mathematics and computer science. The second brain is human and social sciences. And it's very good to talk about new technologies, of course. We are globally working on how cognitive technology could make the military decision cycle working better and faster, of course. And one of the central themes of our research is the symbiosis, you talked about it already, between human and systems. Of course, you know that in the great complexity that characterizes modern warfare and will characterize it in the future, events occur simultaneously in several areas and can quickly overwhelm the decision cycle for commanders and their principal assistants. For such situations, we have redesigned one of the key C2 processes, leveraging it with new technologies to ensure timely and relevant decision making. Namely, this process is the CCIR process. Maybe some of you are not familiar with this process. I will briefly present it in a minute. We have named this project ANTICIP. ANTICIP is anticipate in English, but it means the same thing. ANTICIP stands for Augmented Near Real-Time Instruments for Critical Information Process Experiment. And as I told you, it developed with ENSC Thales. This teaming is for the development of the tool, and for the global experimentation, we do that in the framework of the Science and Technology Organization. Everybody knows that. The ultimate goal, not the ultimate, big goal we have is to conduct this experiment during SETFAST Jupiter Jackal, which will take place in December 2020. Our experiment has been validated during the last conference, and the good news, ACT told me that the training audience, Naples and the component comments, and a shape also, have a real appetite for that. Then we are very happy, but we have a big challenge to succeed. The context, easy, 3 words: complexity, deluge of data, tempo, and if we want to understand really what's going on, especially with the new technologies spreading not only on rival states, but terrorist groups, etc. Faces the complexity, the human brain will not be sufficient, that's sure, to defeat such adversaries, of course. There is a strong need to fuse multi-domain information sources and augment human capabilities through new technologies to be able to make sense of it and to understand in depth conflict dynamics. And of course, when everything accelerates, assisted thinking is needed to avoid overloading, unnecessary filters and cognitive bias we encounter in any organization, And believe me, not only military, but in the civilian organization, it's sometimes worst. And now I am familiar with many. Then, let's take, for example, a job I know very well. It's the JFAC commander in the decision-making process. All the key, this is globally what a JFAC commander or a joint commander is doing. Plans, programming, monitoring, assessment, not BDA, not battle damage assessment, etc. And to do that, he has only, he'll do it in traditional way, mainly PowerPoints. Of course, we have a smarter and smarter situation awareness, presentation, but it's still presenting what is the actual situation and not predicting or not anticipating of future events. And while this cycle is mobilizing a lot of people during the daily battle rhythm, and when you are at the head of such an organization, you see all your staff drawing slides all day long, going from board to board, and little time to think about what can happen next. Then, of course, the commander of tomorrow will not be alone, but all the process will be for sure digitalized and augmented, of course. And to conduct our experimentation, we have chosen one I think is the most important, the key process, is the CCIR process. And I'm going to talk about that now. When you see this Rafale over Baghdad at night, if I ask you why is this aircraft here, I'm saying I will heard maybe he has received a lot of information, he's connected to a lot of sensors with special forces, AWACS, UAVs, and he has a target, etc. No, he's here because of that. He is because a commander asked him to conduct an action which is part of one of this triangle. This is what we call an operational design, and this is a commander is conducting a strategy. And to conduct this strategy, there are key information the commander has to understand and to know perfectly. He anticipates that he will have big decisions to take during the conduct of the campaign. That's called the decision point. A lot of critical information are related to these decision points. He'll have to verify that his assumptions are always true, and also protect permanently his center of gravity and its own forces, of course. And this is building what we call the commander's critical information requirement. And the innovative idea of what we have done is to divide the CCIR. Today, they are very limited because your staff is not able to maintain more than 10, 15 CCIRs. And with the new technology, we are able to do that. To divide the CCIRs, the planners who are responsible for that, they divided that in triggers and divided the triggers divided in queues, weak signals if you prefer. And the role of the autonomous system will be to permanently analyze all documents, voice, chat rooms, servers, various servers, transiting or information transiting through the C4I, and to try to find these queues. And doing that, what we expect is really to try to begin to read the mind of the enemy. Because with the rapid collection and processing, we think we will be able to do it. The process that's defined will make it possible to constantly answer the exhaustive questions displayed on the slide. We hope so. Furthermore, queues, triggers, and CCIR are identified by domain and subdomain. Domain, it's clear, it's human, virtual, and physical. And subdomain, everything you want. All depends the context of your operation and the will of the commander, of course. And as they appeared, all the queues, you can present them in interesting ways to really understand what the adversary is doing. The CCIR, to conclude on the CCIR process, it's not only to find informations, it's to link this information to key decisions and to decisions. And the idea we had is with this graph, which is the vehicle to mine. I don't know if you are very familiar with all the natural language processing, but it's to mine, to build an ontology. This is an ontology, to build it and to mine all the documents which have been annotated. And to link that with a traffic light, simple, in the ops room. And if your CCIRs comes light yellow, it's leading to preventive measures, orange to mitigation actions, and red to key decisions. It's really a central process, anticipation tool. And it's, because it's presented all the time, you will see the HMIs during the ops room. It's really focusing the staff on command area intent and concern. Then, this is a bit academic view of what the tool is doing. You have, of course, the 3 levels of information: the queues, the triggers, CCIRs, decisions, and of course, it has been said, it's your decision are modifying the state, and then you are doing the loop. I will present on the right side of the screen AI technology we are going to use. AI typology, as the AI thinker of the Bordeaux Academy are defining, and what part of the human autonomy thinking agent is dedicated to these actions. There is a very interesting study from NASA Ames about human autonomy teaming agent. I recommend you to read it. Okay, then first level, it's what we call substitutive AI. We tell the machine, we verify that the machine is understanding the context by using dictionaries, a lot of things. And we say, okay, find the cues, and when you find the cues, report to me that. And if you come back to me only if you don't think the probability of the cue is really the one we search, if the probability is not reaching a certain level. Because the system is analyzing permanently the quality of its findings. And of course, the technologies, it's parsing, natural language processing, if you want, semantic extractions, etc. The second level, it's more collaborative AI. Because the human is providing the rules. I want you to do that way. The planners are weighting the cues at the beginning as fixing the rules. How many cues have to be lighted in the context of this CCIR to change the level, to reach the threshold, etc. Then it's mainly data visualization and multi-area decision support tool. So it's a very good tool because you start at the beginning, because in AI you have to train the model, but you start the planners that define that this queue is more important than this one, But after the model, the system is providing you a threshold on the, saying, okay, you are reaching that level and you should do that. And if the commander is not happy with that, they tune the button, and this is a system who's rethinking the weighting, etc. Then it's a sort of, and there's machine learning, of course, in that tool. And of course, at the end, this is what we call hybrid AI, because it's a constant discussion with the system, especially regarding decision support. And in the end, you maybe don't know who has really taken the decisions. Of course, there's a limit. Critical decisions will be taken by the human. But okay, and this is what we call working agreements. You are establishing working agreements with the autonomy. And we try to have in this single software what we call the data agent. All these 5, of course, transparency and confidence measures through all the steps of the tool. And we try to concentrate that in a single software, because at the end we want to link all this software, all these 8 agents. Okay. If we want to go deep into the systems is based on 6 building blocks. The 6 is not the actuator or effectors, it's not a block. It's just to remind you that orders can directly affect effectors. For example, you have an incident somewhere. The systems detect rapidly that on a chat that troop in contact for you somewhere. The system will give a diversion order directly to a UAV maybe. And that will be in the working agreement. If there is this, you can do that autonomy. Okay, it's working like that. Then crawling, I don't talk, easy, transform all the speech to text, all text in a certain format, etc. Annotation, using dictionaries, and this is the scenario doing that. Dictionaries, ontologies, and then you annotate. And there is also human correlation, of course, machine learning at this stage. And you build annotated document database. And then after, with your CCIR tree, you mine, which is an ontology, you mine all the documents. And you build a Q-trigger appearance database. And this is given to the CCIR manager, and where all the rules are applied, you will maybe better understand on the HMI I will present in the end. And of course, the 6, then 5 building blocks. After the 4th, there is the decision-making cognitive assistant. At this stage, it's if-then-else models. The planners associate decisions, mitigation to events. But we are working to implement, of course, a lot of wargaming capabilities to be able to get better decisions or more accurate decisions. And the 6th block is, of course, the human autonomy teaming agent with the 4 characteristics again: context, transparency, confidence, rules, and working agreement. And AI, of course, will be implemented, you see, substitutive, collaborative, and hybrid, mainly in the end, but it's a generic view of what we are aiming to. Then the type of information we will address. There will be many steps in the development of our product. Right now, we are concentrating on C4I generated document. Chat server, email server, web server, SharePoint server, and then voice communication and control system. This is the first step for the proof of concepts and the minimum viable product. Then after we will address RC4I, because I am Air Force and I'm more working in the air domain, but the tool can be applied to any type of level, even that strategic level if you want. RC4I real-time sensors and fusion, and ISTAR product, of course, and open source in the end, because we will work on secret network, open source. If we want to have a direct access, a few issues to overcome. Then, to train the model, we are using a very interesting scenario, old one, Serrazia from NATO. Very complex, a lot of religious technique, oil, militias, TBM, cyber, everything. We need to train our model. And we have more than 6,000 pages of documents for that. Okay. Do you have a question, sir?
No, I recognize the scenario.
Oh, yeah. It was used during the years 2010, 12 to train a NATO response force. The scenario isn't classified, and it's easy to put young students on it to build the dictionary ontologies, which is not easy for an old man like me to build dictionaries. And then the CCIRs, we have done a sort of planning sessions, CCIRs. The example, we have 10 CCIRs, we don't want more. Physical, virtual, social. Stellaria is a sort of China, helping Camon, I don't know if you know the scenario. And we, at this stage, for the proof of concept, we have only distributed 4 triggers for each CCIR and 2 queues, which is not realistic because queues the interest of the tool will be to have 6, 10, 12 queues for each trigger. Then, how it works? It's a very simplistic view. Of course, it's a bit more complicated. You have an example of the tree of one CCIR, 3 triggers, a few queues. Let's take the first branch. Up the autonomy tag, mine, and found an information from an intelligence report. Caution, manpads seen with Al-Qaim tribe fighters in vicinity of Banjul, which is a location in the Tory pocket. Okay, then instantly Al-Qaim has manpad light, and because there are only 2 queue, and the system will probably get the trigger partially impacted, behavior Al-Qaim malicious, and then I suppose, but it's simplified, because there are a lot of wasting and parameters for that. CAMON or proxies major offensive preparation. And then automatically preventive decisions will be enlightened to the commander and his team. Helicopter flights under restrictions in Tory pocket, and be prepared to conduct CAS cap, donc close air support cap over Tory pocket, etc. Then that's the way it works, simplified. Then, in the ops room, this is a vision of the main HMI they will get. On the CCIR dashboard, the tool in development will not look like that exactly, but it's the first view that we have designed. The CCIR, you can scroll them, classify them, a color state, a percentage to. Now we have added a confidence level, because the confidence level was associated to the transparency mergers. We prefer to associate it also to the CCIR. You have the ongoing action associated to each CCIR, and you have an historical view. We are at G+7 of the deployment plus 7 days, and 1500 Zulu, and you see. And the main decisions which had an impact on the CCIRs can be listed, but it is direct striping by the CCIR manager. Okay? If you want to know exactly what's happening, you click on any CCIR, you get the tree, you can display off after a few days of crisis. Of course, everybody will know that T4 will be stronger activity from the enemy, etc. And you have all the transparency and confidence measures. That means that you have a localization of the queue, and you have the document from which the queue is issued. And the confidence level is associated to the source right now, but we are studying how to improve that. And the confidence level at the level of the CCIR on the top right is related to the evaluation from the tool of his ability to find the queue. I mean, he can tell you that he has 60 for that, at least 60% success, I guess, doing the comparison, the mining. On the documents. And after you click on and the document is appearing clearly, and you can read it, scroll it, and see if it's a valid finding. Okay, we are 1 hour later. A few queues are found by the autonomy. Again, intelligence report, a radio call between special forces and aircraft, Viper 43, an email, a chat, airspace violation, internet in the future. From Camon News, the bad guy, the bad country, or the rock state. S-400 will be deployed to counter NATO aggression. Well, of course, it's internet, it's generic information, operations, etc. Then, what is the impact? But clearly, two two CCIR have been impacted, then there are warning criterias. Directly, the commander, according to who has this been designed, if it is day, night, the commander receives a warning on his cell phone, sort of cell phone, etc. Then, for example, the first Cayman or Partner major offensive has been impacted because it goes from yellow to orange. Then you click on it. What you can see the declination and all the synchronization and recommendation of the autonomy. What is black and white? It was where the ongoing actions, and in that it's the autonomy proposition of actions. And you have a risk analysis matrix associated to the proposed actions, and you have a resource matrix implemented also. That means that if the commander is validating the 5 proposition of the autonomy, you see, for example, he will exceed his tanker capability of 3 tanker. That's rough numbers at this stage. It's only for the commanders to really, when things accelerate, to take the major and quickly the major decisions and distribute the task to his teams. And of course, we have a carry box and localization again. And yes?
And I know this is just like an example on this. So I see you doing air and land. Do you do maritime as well?
Yes, of course. Well, it's same principles.
Okay, I just want to be sure.
Yes.
Okay.
And joint. It has been designed for joint, but it can be applied at I component. It's not tactical unit, but it's component level.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
And then exceeding tanker, he can directly deselect the last one, permanent cap, because it's aircraft and tanker consuming. Then it comes red, and you see instantaneously the resources are implemented and the risk also is modified. Okay. And after we are developing, this is the big view for the commanders and staff. And after we are developing other tools for the real operators who will plan, do the frago, do the branch if they have a branch to perform. Okay. But what we want to achieve is really a platform, evolutive platform, where what we want today is that from the moment a queue is found to the decision is presented to the commanders, it's less than 1 minute. This is what we prefer right now. Time, speed. Even if precision is not good right now. This is because what we have in mind, of course, is multi-domain. And multi-domain, speed is the first characteristic. Okay, then, using all this good information, we are trying to develop smart data presentation, and especially multi-domain view. This one is presenting, you have the CCIR around, the triggers classified by domain, and subdomain, you have the queues. Not very interesting. We are working on more interesting thing. This one, for example, where we call the radar view, of course, and you can, the operator can select what has done the enemy or the adversary between J plus 2 to J plus 10. And you see, for example, that J plus 7 here, he was doing some land operations, not so much in the information political domain, a little cyber, but 5 days after he is doing a lot of cyber, and you can approach what the enemy has in mind. And but this one, again, is interesting, but not fundamental. We are more working on this one. It's what we call the seismograph view. Because the more queues you will have, and the more the adversary will be active, this will do like a seismograph. And if you, there will be a lot of flexibility for the commander. He can arrange, for example, space can be here, and land here, and cyber here, and humanitarian at the top. According to the context, what he is looking for, he will have total flexibility to arrange. But when the queues will appear, of course, the frequency will say, okay, the adversary is preparing on doing things. And the more the queues are big, the circle, it is important actions. It's the wasting, a representation of the wasting.
Excuse me, if I understand that correctly, the tool provides you a pattern. It doesn't give you prediction.
Yes, a pattern. We have predictions on the, maybe, well, I will come back. We have, yes. Yeah. Yes, but pattern is also important.
Yes, indeed.
Prediction is a bit more difficult. We are working on it, but a bit more complicated. We have only easy solution for the prediction right now. That means evaluate the delta time between each queues related to other parameters, but not convincing right now. Okay. Then, what we expect was, to summarize a bit, you remember the famous Secretary of Defense Rumsfeld talking about the don't know you don't know? We expect to find some. Because the fact, giving the task, we have tried that with some taskers. The fact to use their mind and divide the CCIRs in triggers and queues, you have a large array of information or weak signal that some information can pop up. You even don't know that it will be interesting. And of course, what it will be major for the don't know you know. Because in a headquarters of 5 or 4 or 500 people, working in urgency, a lot of information is stuck everywhere and take a lot of time to come to the boss or to the relevant people. Multi-domain approach is a focus for us. We have just starting 6 months ago to work on that, but we are progressing. Just to remind you, this is the view of the multi-domain ops center. This is a study of the US Air Force. Maybe some of you know it. It has been done in December 2018 by the Doctrine Center, the War College, USAF. And they had 3 teams, and they had the task to develop what could be for them the best design organization of an ops center. And you will see they have placed CCIR in the middle and really as a centerpiece. But that's I have added a few things, but really to have three branches in this ops center. One, strategy, intent communication, human-led, AI supported. The second one, info management and sense making, mostly automated. And the third one, tasking and effect, AI-led. I think it's very relevant. And CCIR are really placed as a centerpiece. Because here, everything goes through CCIR in that type of process. Synchronization of activity, dynamic collection, real-time tasking, etc., etc. But that the CCIR are really the piece was putting all the things in face of all the staff. That conclude. I'll just tell you where we are at that. All the architecture is done, and for the technicians, all the documentations for the coding people. We are working with 2 teams. One team is working on the development of the natural language processing. The second one is working on the CCIR manager mainly. And the objective is to integrate the two and to prove really the concept. We have done some proof, but not with the real world scenario, to integrate that for September. And then the minimum viable product is scheduled for the end of the year at level 1, and level 2, which should be ready for the experimentation. It's planned for June. We have the money, which is important, but the people, not so easy to find the right guys, etc. Because in the industry, every man is on a program, and to take somebody out for something which they are not sure will work properly, not easy. But we are confident. Ready for question 20, huh? Yes, see?